has received hundreds of calls, around approximately 400 calls per hour since noon. They're averaging about 9 calls per minute now to our 911, and many of these calls are inappropriate for 911. For example, people are calling 911 for weather updates. People have been calling 911 to report power outages. You do not call 911 to report a power outage. You call the power company, National Grid or NYSEG. People are calling 911 to have food and food delivery. Not appropriate for 911. People are calling 911 to report that their internet is down. That is not an emergency situation. It may stink that your internet's down, but that is not a reason to call 911. As I said, approximately 400 calls are being received per hour, and many of these calls are totally inappropriate for 911. Do not call 911 for a tow truck. 911 does not send out tow trucks. Most tow truck operators are not going out due to the dangerousness of the situation. If you're stuck on a roadway, we do need to know where you are. But we cannot guarantee that they'll be able to send anyone out at this time to discuss or to save you, because it is too dangerous. I don't know if Chief Britzlauer or Carney, you want to talk about the conditions that some of your members are seeing, if you could?
Sure. Yeah, thank you, by the way, County Executive. There's whiteout conditions all over the county. I have a crew right now en route out to the main transit area in Clarence for people that, again, disregarded the driving ban and now are stuck. And so my crew are going out there to try and find these people and bring them to safety. But as I put the order out, I told them, I don't want you guys to become part of the problem either, or where we have to come and rescue you, but they have a great sense of our QRF contingent, and they're doing the best we can. But it's like, to reiterate what the county executive said, if you don't have to go out, please don't go out. It's unsafe, and it's not intelligent to you to get out on the roadways unless it's a life and death situation. So please adhere to the driving ban and stay home until this storm passes.
Thank you. A life and death situation is somebody's having a heart attack. Your power out is not a life and death situation. If your power is out, please, of course, report it to the power company, but it is very difficult for the power companies to get out there and repair the power outages. Though I got to give them a lot of credit. They've been keeping up with as many of them as they could during the day. So to the linemen and linewomen, thank you from National Grid and NYSEG for all you're doing. If your power's out, bundle up. Don't leave your house. The safest place you can be is where you are inside, even if it's cold. It's better to be inside where it's 45 degrees or 50 degrees than it is to be outside where we have bitter wind chills below zero and life or death situations where you get completely disoriented and don't know where you are because all you see is white. So please, if you are stuck in your car, what we need you to do is we do need to know where you are, but as we said, we cannot you cannot expect they're going to be able to send people out immediately to get you. So if you're stuck in your car, you need to run it intermittently, at least 10 minutes every hour, but not continually. So just run it so it can keep it a little warm, so your car's not freezing, you're not freezing. Make sure that your flashers are on, so when first responders do come, they can actually see where the vehicle is. If your flashers aren't on, it's very difficult to see if the lights in the flashers aren't on. Make sure your tailpipe is clear. You may have to walk out of your car every half hour to check your tailpipe and make sure it's clear. You don't want that being blocked, so that when you do turn on your car, the exhaust unfortunately goes inside instead of outside. So if it is, you are stuck in your vehicle, we do need to know where you are. You can call 911, but do not expect that you're going to get a tow, and it may be some time until you're saved. It could be hours. So we want people to understand there's no reason to be outside, no reason to be going outside. We had a report I heard earlier of a young mother with a 4-month-old child in a truck that was stuck in the Clarence area. And I don't know why the 4-month would have been out there unless it was an emergency situation for the child, but it's the kind of stuff that we are so afraid of, people dying in their vehicles because we can't get to them. And this snow is supposed to continue for hours on end. If it is a non-life-threatening situation, such as dialysis, need for dialysis, medications, or just how to stay warm if your power's out in your home, you can call our special number 716 716-858-SNOW, SNOW. So that's 716-858-7669. And we have callers that are waiting to take your phone call and to provide the information, such as if you do need dialysis, we will try to set up so that you can get dialysis, if not today, tomorrow. Same thing for life medications. If you're just out of medications that will not cause life-threatening harm to you, and you can wait a day or two, that's fine. If you do need to have medications, because you could die otherwise, you can call 716-858-SNOW, 716-858-7669. Power outages, National Grid is reporting 19,773 power outages in Erie County. Of course, there's more in the rest of Western New York. NYSEG is reporting 10,213 power outages in Erie County. Once again, thank you to the linemen and women who are out there. They're putting their lives on the line to try to restore power for these communities when it's very difficult. It's a snail's pace if they can move at all. So I want to thank all the members from NYSEG and National Grid. I'm going to turn it over to our Commissioner of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, Dan Neverth, to talk a little bit about the efforts that are being done by our first responders and others during what is truthfully one of the worst storms we've seen in a long time. This is worse than the storm that we saw in November, just about 4 weeks ago. We did not have as an expansive area being impacted. It's not the total amount of snow that's going to matter in the storm. It's the blizzard conditions where you can't see where you're going. And it's made everyone's life, especially first responders, very difficult. So, Commissioner?
Thanks, Mark. Some of the challenges that we're facing during the course of this storm as opposed to the other, whereas we previously had much more snow, this is impacting an entire region. And we were a little bit concerned about this yesterday, and we remain a little bit concerned in that we have to deal with this pretty much on our own because the contiguous counties that we normally deal with, as well as some of the resources that we get from the state and even from other regions for, say, the utilities, they're not coming from the usual places, because if you go all the way back to the Midwest, those crews that would normally be here to assist us are working in their own backyards. So this is going to take a little while. And those are the reasons why you really do need to think long and hard about whether or not you need to be going out tonight or for any reason other than a true emergency. I did want to reiterate too that you don't want to call because your power's out. You do want to call 911 if there's a live line on your front lawn, you witness a live line, or maybe the power's been pulled away from your house. Those are true emergencies, could result in a fire or worse, somebody being killed. But the fact that the power's out usually is pretty generally known by hundreds of people fairly quickly. The utilities know that almost instantly as well. So our challenges tonight, as we go through the rest of the evening, are working very closely with our partners at not only the utilities, fire department and fire agencies that from time to time will rely on mutual aid assistance from other areas. The closest that these areas could probably get assistance at this point would be somewhere closer to the New York City area, because you go to Syracuse, Rochester area, they're all under advisories or states of emergency and the inability to be able to travel. So you need to also keep in mind that if you do have an emergency, if fire agencies can't see where they're going, if plow operators, if tow truck operators can't see where they're going, it's going to take a little bit of extra time. Emergency resources will be deployed, but they're not going to be deployed in the usual quick fashion that we've become accustomed to. I do want to thank all of the first responders out there. 911, as the county executive pointed out, the 911 system downtown, I think it was something like 1,400 or 1,500 calls in a very short period of time. We need to weed out about 90% of the calls that were coming through there, because mixed in those were a couple of cases where people were suffering severe medical emergencies. And if your call, your nonsense call, is in front of them in the queue.
And that right there was an update from Erie County officials talking about the storm, their response so far, some of the problems that they're seeing. One of the big ones being that people are calling 911 for all of the wrong reasons. We're going to continue monitoring this news conference in our newsroom. We're going to have much more coming up first at 5. Moving on, though, this afternoon, we are joined now live by Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown. He's got an update for us on how things are going in the Queen City. Mayor, good afternoon to you. We appreciate your time.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to start by asking you, at this point, what are crews able to do given the conditions? We know it is so difficult out there, visibility, the snow, the cold. What are the crews up to in terms of cleanup or response?
Well, we've had 29 pieces of equipment on the street, focusing on mains and secondaries, blowing and drifting snow. There is a driving ban, so people should not be on the streets at all. We are now beginning to get calls of people getting stuck that were driving that should not have been driving. That puts them in danger. That puts emergency first responders in danger.
Now, has there been any talk? We know that there was the driving ban in place and a lot of the major roadways across western New York are closed at this point. What about the 33? We're hearing reports of people possibly getting stuck there. Is there any word on whether or not that may be closed so that you can help those people and get things cleaned up?
I don't have any information on people stuck on the 33 at this time. I don't know if the 33 was closed. I know that other major state roadways were closed. Again, unless someone was an emergency first responder, an essential worker, they should not have been on the 33. We don't, at this point, have any information of people stuck on the 33, but on city streets, there are some people that are stuck on city streets. One city street that has been closed is Niagara at Tonawanda in both directions. There is a viaduct there, and there is flooding, making that area, that street, unpassable.
Now, speaking of water, with this storm, not only are we seeing the bitter cold temperatures, the high winds, and all of the snow, but the flooding along the lakeshore is a big problem, or perceived to be a problem. Do you have any updates about Canal Side, Ralph Wilson Park, Broderick Park, Erie Basin Marina? How are they faring at this point?
There is flooding at some of the city's waterfront parks. Those parks have been closed since Thursday at 3 p.m. We anticipated that there would be flooding. We did not want pedestrians or motorists to be in those areas, which would be dangerous with flooding. Waterfront residences have experienced some flooding. We have been very closely monitoring water quality because of seiche from the lake. You know, that's like a freshwater tidal wave, if you will, and that lake water potentially could have gotten into our water systems. Fortunately, that has not occurred, and we continue to monitor our water systems very closely. Everything there still in good operating order.
And one more very quick question for you, Mayor. We've got about 30 seconds left. We're hearing of a number of power outages, specifically on the city's east side. Are there any plans for...
No, not specifically on the city's east side. Citywide, over 11,400 power outages. In fact, my home is one of those properties without power. I'm speaking to you right now using a candle for illumination.
We should say that there are a number, certainly citywide, but a number of them are on the east side. At this point,
a number of them are all over.
Are there any plans for warming shelters? Where can people go if they need a warm, safe place to stay?
If people have conditions in their home that are that adverse, they can go to any police station or fire station. Day, they were scheduled to close at 6 anyway. So any adverse situation in the home and people can get out, they should go to the nearest police station or fire station. There are also some traffic signals that are out. If you approach a traffic signal that is out or flashing, you should treat it as a four-way stop.
All right, some good advice there. Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown joining us this afternoon. Mayor, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you more, possibly later today or throughout the weekend. But best of luck to you with all of the cleanup and all that you're dealing with here in the city of Buffalo.
Thank you very much.
All right, and we've got much more storm coverage coming up right after this quick break. Stay with us.